Welcome to Work from the Inside Out, a podcast that highlights real-life stories, practical strategies, and best practices for transitioning your career from unhappiness and dissatisfaction to fulfillment, meaning, and joy. Now here is your host, career and executive coach, Tammy Guler-Loeb.
Hey everybody, I am so delighted to introduce you to my guest today, Jyoti Singhvi. Jyoti has been doing public speaking for 30 plus years. Based on her experiences, she has developed comprehensive training programs in public speaking, communication, and confidence for professionals to help them gain maximum rewards and recognition. Her background is in business development, strategic partnerships, technology, innovation, and consumer luxury goods. She has expertise in digital and traditional marketing, CRM, and e-commerce. Jyoti consults with companies and organizations to help them with revenue generation through business development and marketing. Prior to this, Jyoti worked at Cartier and did business development and strategic partnerships, CRM, and digital and traditional marketing. Jyoti also owns a couture fine jewelry company, Jyoti, www.jyotinewyork.com. Her jewelry has been worn by royalty and celebrities and is available at luxury stores like Neiman Marcus. She also coaches executives on public speaking, networking, and business development. Jyoti has a bachelor's degree in computer science and master's degrees in public administration from Harvard and an MBA from MIT. Philanthropically, Jyoti is passionate about women's empowerment and children's development. She has been involved with organizations such as UN Women, the Resolution Project, and is on the executive committee of the Gender Equality Foundation. Please join me in welcoming Jyoti Singhvi.
Hi, Tammy. Thank you so much for having me. I am very excited to be in conversation with you.
So, Jyoti, you were born and raised, at least up through your early teen years in India. And as a child, you were kind of shy, reserved. And yet today, as an adult, you're teaching other people how to speak in public. So it's so interesting to me that you were a quiet child, and now you're here in the US and teaching other people to speak publicly.
You're absolutely right. I was very, very shy, quiet, and I didn't think much of it. I never spoke in the classroom unless I was really asked to speak. If I was called upon, I would answer a question. I never asked a question, never raised my hand. I was very quiet amongst friends during recess. Very, very quiet. This happened until third grade. In fourth grade, I moved cities, new school, new environments. So that made me even quieter. I almost went into a bigger shell. So one day, the principal of my school was making the rounds and she was auditioning for the school play. And she randomly asked me to come and audition. And I could not believe that she's actually asking me. Of course, she doesn't know me, but whoever knows me, they know that this is a shy child. This is a quiet child. She doesn't speak. But, I tried to ignore her. I look back. I'm like, I hope and pray there is another Jyoti in class because I couldn't possibly be going up there in front of, 60, 70 some odd kids and auditioning. And she said my name again. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I think it's me. Yes, you right there. Don't look down on your book. Why don't you come up and say the dialogues? The only thing I remind myself of, if there's one thing I can do, is speak loudly and clearly. And that's exactly what I did. Whatever the dialogues were, I read them. And then I went back and calmed myself down. I sat down. And next day she said, well, these are the kids who got the part. And I'm like, I better not get the part. But she did read my name. So I did get the part. Thank God it wasn't a lead role. It was some, third, fourth, role in the play. So I got the part. But what it taught me is that it just kind of pulled me just a little bit out of my shell. I felt that it wasn't that scary to be on stage speaking in front of other people. It was scary, but not as much as I had made it out to be. Next year in fifth grade, I got the lead role. And by this time, I had kind of forgotten that whole part that I was a shy child, because now I was acting and I was speaking a lot more in class. So the reason why I tell the story is, thank God for the principal. If she hadn't pulled me out, it's not a nudge, it's actually like really pulling me out of the crowd and gotten me to speak, I would have been the same shy child that I was. I mean, shy adult, probably standing in some corner. It just completely changed the trajectory of my life and the person that I've developed. So, what happened, Tammy, is I wasn't always teaching public speaking. I used to speak in public a lot. I gave keynotes. I've spoken in front of audience as large as 2,000 people. I have interviewed CEOs. And then when after you do a talk, people will come and they will congratulate you, did a good job, etc. And I still didn't think much of it. And then when I saw some of my colleagues or other friends say that, I don't know how you do it, we're still so nervous to speak in front of people, or the work presentation, or the pitch I had to give to my clients, or the board presentation, or my child is not speaking up in class, or my child is so brilliant but not speaking, I wish they were more confident. And all those little conversations just kind of sent a light bulb off in my head. I said, if a very shy child like me could get out of that shell and speak and be, confident to share my ideas, I bet I can help other people. And I would like to help other people. It's not that difficult skill. It's kind of like what you are frightful of, or your fear is bigger than the actual problem. So I created a curriculum and I developed an online program so that people who were not close to me could also take advantage of this. And there's a full-fledged comprehensive course that people can take and, really escalate the way that they communicate. And it's not only communicate, like when say people think public speaking, you have to speak in front of a large group of audience. It doesn't have to be that. You could be speaking one-on-one to somebody else, or you could be speaking one to a small group or a large group of 20 people, 50 people. It could be interpersonal. And I see a lot of my students just blossoming through the course of the course, no pun intended.
Right.
So this is my way of giving back to the world. And I saw that not much was getting done in this field. I also talked to a lot of principals at various schools. I talked to universities. I talked to a lot of large Fortune 500 employers. And they all said, yes, this is a need. I mean, this training on communication or presentation is never given at school, in colleges, or at work. And it's a deep hole that we would like to fill. So I thought I was onto something. And as you see your students progress, it just makes you feel so good. I mean, it just makes you feel like you were able to help somebody. One person help the world, one person at a time.
I love knowing the root of where this came from for you and what it looks like today. And yet there's so much about your journey and your story that came even in between all of that. So tell us a little bit about the journey.
There are a lot of ups and downs in anybody's journeys, trials and tribulations and triumphs. So I was raised in a very dedicated household. My parents, did so much for us. And as a teenager, as you mentioned, I moved to the States. And, that was a very interesting and challenging time. But I also have to thank that principal and my parents for laying a very solid foundation of values so I could kind of hold on to them and, still maintain my identity along with the confidence that was developed over the years. Of course, that confidence doesn't get developed just in one grade. It was a building up of it. And there's a lot of peer pressure, especially when you're a teenager and you come to a new country. Culture is shockingly different. And you still have to blend and meld while you create your own identity. You just kind of have to hold on to what is of importance to you. We still, hold our parents and our elders in high esteem. And back then, when I was growing up in Ohio, that wasn't the case. So you still have to kind of stay bound to your familial roots. I continued to perform. I was a classically trained dancer, so I continued to perform the dance style. And I actually also started a dance school in Ohio. When did I start? Probably in college, maybe first year of college or maybe senior year of high school, and I taught kids the Indian classical dancing. So I tried to just kind of maintain my culture, but also share it with the community around me. In college, I studied computer science. So there was a reason why I studied computer science. And part of that is maybe, a cultural pressure that I probably put on myself. I don't think anybody ever put me under that pressure, not my parents. But being of a certain origin or a certain background, especially me being Indian, if you get good grades, you're supposed to study the sciences. Then the next option was engineering. And I did not find enough interest in that. So computer science was up and coming, and it was still science-based, very analytical. That's what I studied. It was very, very interesting, very intriguing, challenging. After graduation, I worked at IBM. I worked at KPMG, and I worked at a wireless telematics startup. And all that was really cool, really cutting edge technology in digitization and e-commerce. In now we call it big data, and we call it was the beginnings of AI. We didn't call it AI back then. So a lot of great technology that I got to just immerse myself in. And then after that, I was chugging along, but my heart was still longing for something more fulfilling. And this is an important point, because a lot of times we have a subconscious mind and a conscious mind. The subconscious mind is kind of like just going along, and the conscious mind is what we are actually actively thinking and changing. So the conscious mind now said that I'm not really connecting with what I am doing. I thought back, I said, what is the missing part? Growing up, I was a very creative child. I used to do a lot of art, a lot of design work. I was a dancer, I was an artist, I was a performer. But again, the cultural pressure that you couldn't be in that field as a profession probably drew me away. But I'm like, I really need to do something in a creative field. Also an entrepreneurial field, because my parents are entrepreneurs. And in the back of my mind, I always wanted to go get my MBA. Dad has an MBA, and I wanted to do that. So at this point, before I go get my MBA, what is it that I want to do afterwards? Am I coming back to the technology field? There was a lot of soul searching. I decided that I want to be working with a product that I would love to use, and either a consumer product or fashion or luxury goods. Okay, so that was clear, and I think in my head I had the entrepreneurial seeds sown. So as I went to MIT for my business degree, for my MBA, and I also have a very deep need and desire to do something for the world. I had a big, inkling to do something in the business world, but also something for the underprivileged. And there's a story behind that, which I will, once I finish my life journey, I'll go into that. And because of that, I got also a master's in public administration, because I wanted to do more in the policy or development work. And the focus was poverty alleviation there. So I got an MPA from Harvard. And everything that I've tried to do since then has combined both business and development or philanthropy in some way, shape, or form. After I graduated from my MBA, in between, there's like a side turn. So this is like career and education, right? And investment in self. It's very important to invest in ourselves. As a woman, you also there's another part of you, which is the nurturing aspect and the motherly aspect. I got married in the process, and my first son, I was pregnant with my first son towards the end of my business school. I didn't time it so well. It was just natural. So my first child was born towards the last semester, or the 7th semester. Okay, now I also had to get a job. I had wanted to get a job in retail, luxury goods. They don't come on campus to give you jobs like McKinsey and Goldman Sachs and Citibank did. So now I had to schlep every time to New York City. And my baby was born in December. This is February. And I was going to see the CEO of Tiffany, going to see the CEO of Cartier, other CEOs and other executives to see if, there's a fit. But one of the conversations, the meetings in New York City was very fruitful. I did get a job with Cartier, and it was, again, a life-changing experience because I learned so much. My field had completely changed from technology to consumer, luxury, marketing. I did amazing things in customer relationship management, marketing, branding, business development, and strategic partnerships. And you are surrounded by everything so beautiful at Cartier. I learned some of the best lessons, which I still carry with me to whatever I do in terms of marketing or customer service or branding. Branding lessons I got were phenomenal. So I'm so thankful for that experience.
The piece that I think we want to connect, though, is the story about your interest both in luxury goods and poverty alleviation. I think there's the connection that probably doesn't make sense on the surface, and I know it makes a lot of sense to you. So let's talk about that for a moment, because I know that you have a very compelling story about what that means to you, and also how you've carried that through even into the business that you're doing today through the speaking and some of the things you're doing now. But I think it would be very helpful for people to hear how where that sort of started for you.
Yes, absolutely. And thank you for bringing that up. So I grew up in India, and this was the city of Jaipur. And I think I was in fourth grade back then, went to school on a bus. And every day, and I have to watch myself because every time I tell the story, it just makes me swell up, and I have tears rolling down my cheeks. Every morning when we went to school, I would see this very small and very weak family on the streets. There was 3-year-old little boy and a 5-year-old big sister of the little boy. Kids are completely laden in dirt. And I also see just about a couple of meters from the kids is a very skinny mother of those kids, who's kind of draped in a very simple sari, and she's trying to cook the rotis, the thin flatbread chapatis, on an earthen makeshift stove. There's a lot of grime around her because she's probably trying her fire. The fire in the stove is probably rocks and coal, not rocks, coal and maybe wood bits and pieces that she collected from the street. There is also, I distinctly remember, a grandma. She looked very old back then because I was only in fourth grade, but she was probably only 50 years old or something. But they still seemed that they lived in a lot of dignity.
Did you see them on a regular basis? Was this a family that you saw over a period of a significant period of time that you came to recognize this family over a period of time?
Yes, I probably saw them for if not months, maybe if not a couple of years, definitely months, because I have a very distinct memory of that whole scene. And I always wondered, again, as a 9-year-old, why them? A lot of times when bad things happen to us, we always say, why me? But I always wondered, why them? What did they do wrong? I mean, in our culture, we have karma theory. But, still, it doesn't explain everything. And I just said, I want to do something for these people. I want to do something for people who don't have enough. And that has kind of gone into a lot of the work we do. When I started my jewelry company, and I still have the jewelry company, we donate 5% of the proceeds to charities that we partner with. Now that I have the ed tech company for training and education of communication and public speaking skills, we do two things. We partner with charities, again, to donate proceeds. But one of the very important things for us is to give scholarship to students who come from the underprivileged world, who may not be able to afford these skills. Right now, we're also working with students in India, and then we're going to be working with Columbia University at some point for students in Ghana and Nigeria and other countries, students and also adults who are they're getting vocational training from their governments, but there is nothing about communication training or life skills or leadership. And through our training, we want to share this with them pro bono, so that the women who are the sole bread earners for the really, really poor families, maybe at $1 a day or $2 a day, they are able to stand up for themselves. Let's say they're making scarves or bags, or they're making soaps. They are able to stand up to the middleman, ask for the right wages or ask for the right money for the product that they made. They are able to market and sell their product for what it's worth, and all the work and the goodwill that has gone into the product. So we are in conversations with certain organizations. We're already starting to teach some other kids who have potential but are not able to achieve this kind of communication training. So yeah, little by little, we are making a small impact in the world. I mean, it's a small impact, but hopefully it will become bigger.
Well, if we each made a small impact, it really does amount to something much bigger. And I love the link that you make between your appreciation for luxury goods and the finer things in life, and appreciating what you do have, but also being able to not just share what you have with others, but also building some tools and skills in there to help others learn and develop themselves. So it's sort of like, the proverbial, not just handing somebody a fish, but teaching them to fish, right?
Absolutely.
And not just other adults, but also bringing this to children, which I think is just wonderful. So it does start to, the picture that you've just sort of painted for us really builds this very rich and full picture of a life that is so well lived already, Jyoti, that from your own childhood, from this shy little girl who has just blossomed over and over and over again all these years and continues to bring so many good things to the world. So what is it that our listeners need to know most about what you're doing now? And I mean, we're going to include links to all of this in the show notes. And what can we share with our listeners that they can also go and look at the show notes for that, so that they can also either contribute or learn from what you're bringing today?
I wanted to share two things. One is a life lesson based on my own journey, which I can share, and then I have a couple of free gifts. Hopefully you will enjoy that. And so the life lesson is that we all need to be living the life that comes from our heart, from our soul, and follow a path that is not only in alignment with our passions, but in alignment with what kind of makes us happy, what brings us to life. And it may be your career, but it may be other things that fulfill you. So in terms of career, I advise a lot of younger people who are in high school or in college, and also a lot of people in transition, how to find the perfect career for yourself. And there's a small framework that you can follow. First, you want to write down all your strengths. Then you want to write down all your weaknesses. Then you want to say, what is it that you really enjoy doing? Your strengths may be something that you enjoy doing, but not necessarily. But what is it that you really enjoy doing? And then what is it that you really don't enjoy doing? Now, as you combine all of those, you want to find the intersection of the things, the jobs or the tasks that overlap with what you're really good at and you really enjoy doing, and that minimizes what you're not so good at doing or what you don't like doing. We all are not so good at doing a lot of things, right? And then there are one or two things that we're very good at doing. So we want to focus in and zone in on that. Secondly, how do you actually find out, would I be in pharmacy or would I be in technology or finance, and within that, what function? Talking to a lot of different people, having mentors and coaches, and they don't have to be the formal world. I mean, you're a fantastic coach, Tammy. A lot of us would be lucky to have you as our coach, but maybe we don't have access to Tammy at all times. And then you zone in and you zero in on what you really like to do, because there's so many different experiences. If you are youth, you have the great benefit of time on your side, right? Do more internships, do more side projects, talk to as many friends of your parents and parents of your friends. If you are a grown-up and in career transition, I'm sure you have a reasonable sized network, and talk to more people, or even reach out to people and say, would you mind sharing the insights of what you're doing? I find it very intriguing. What do you like about it? What do you not like about it? And ask the tough questions. I think that is very important to do.
Those are all great suggestions. A lot of those things mirror a lot of the things I suggest to people as well. So I'm with the plan. I'm in the club. So in terms of the free gifts, can you tell us a little bit about those?
Yes, very excited for those. So I have a free course on speaking with confidence anywhere and anytime. It is a great course with several mindset shifts that you can implement right now in your life. And it also has a lot of actionable tips, which I have included from my own experience and from the experience of other speaking pros. And I hope you find it useful. And I also have a series of blogs, which also we can share the link to. There is a special blog on how to find that perfect career that we briefly touched upon. I will share the link about that too. And I have a new webinar coming up. It's about how to speak like a pro in 5 to 10 easy, simple steps. So we will share the link to that also.
Wow. Oh my goodness. I encourage everybody to check out the show notes and all the resources, the tips, and the information that Jyoti has to offer us. Take a look at all of it. And thank you so much again for being here today.
Thank you so much, Tammy. This was truly a pleasure. You're really, really good with it. So yes, I'm so honored to be on your show.
Thank you. I hope you enjoyed my interview with Jyoti Singhvi. It was so interesting to speak with her and learn about her educational path and professional journey. What is your key takeaway from our interview? Is there something you'll put into action that you'll benefit from for years to come? Share what resonated with you in the show notes at workfromtheinsideout.com. Look for episode 042. That's also where you'll find all the links and resources from today's podcast. If you were inspired by this episode with Jyoti, please share it with your friends and colleagues, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss next week's show. Remember, subscribing is always free. Are you enjoying the podcast? I'd love to read your review on Apple Podcasts. It's easy to find my page at tammygoularloeb.com/Apple. Thanks so much for listening. And remember, it's never too late or too impossible to increase your sense of fulfillment and satisfaction in your work and other meaningful activities. Let me know how it's going for you. And who knows? Maybe you'll be my next interview on this podcast. Bye for now.
Thank you for listening to the Work from the Inside Out podcast. For more information, you can find us at www.workfromtheinsideout.com.